this is a great opportunity, certainly for us, but as we have an opportunity, we're really big on sharing that opportunity with the community. And so super pumped to have you here and joining us today. We're excited to host you on. We're going to run you through some really fun and exciting ideas and opportunities. Hopefully they go well. But we're going to definitely close this thing out with some question and answer. We've polled the community. There are burning topics, Francois, that are on their mind. They would love to hear from you and all about how things come to life in the tool and the platform and so forth. So, and then at the end, we'll bid you adieu right at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll have Nathan and Anna will be doing a little bit of a Kahoot for us. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then Karen will wrap us up and talk about what's coming up next here at ATUG. And for all of you that are here, and Francois included, we invite you to come back as often as you would like. We like to think that we've got a good thing going here. So, you all ready? Let's go. So I don't know that everybody in the call knows this, but you and I, Francois, we do go back a little bit, right? Not just do we have this relationship, but it kind of goes back to things like 2012, 2013. I became a Zen in 2014, and I just started taking these kind of random pictures. And you remember some of these, right? We would be at conference. Remember back when we would be within 6 feet of each other, and we'd have a ton of people together, and we would do crazy things on stage.
It's so amazing. People were smiling. You could see their smiles. It was great.
It's incredible. And maybe one day we'll get back to that. And this is one of Tableau's favorite pictures. And there were actually multiple pictures taken of this moment. You can see, I was kind of jumping in. You're right there in the middle, as you should be. But the picture that happened right before this picture was this picture, right? And again, just for those folks at home, this is me kind of jumping in right there. This is you. And I don't know if you want to talk about it here in front of the 400 people that we have, but maybe defining the relationship with Matt Francis might be helpful at some point. So,
I mean, how much time do we have? And I feel like this should be a therapist session. So I love this picture because it does represent the love that we have about this community. And Matt is a special person.
He's a special
for lots
friend.
of different reasons.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
But Matt, when
he also found this picture, didn't he?
Oh.
And
I think I'm going to turn off my video now because I'm going to start having words for him.
Well, yeah. and he's appreciated the opportunity to bring these to the attention of the community as well. So Matt has a distinguished voice in the Tableau community, we might say. And again, he's a special friend.
I mean, Matt made his mark really early because when he came into the community, he started creating these little videos and started having fun, and we all took it with a grain of salt because it's just hilarious. And he's able to really bring this comedy to all of it, while at the same time helping and teaching and really embracing this community. So if Matt, you're there, I love you. I miss you, and I can't wait till we see what you do next. Somebody made a comment. That there were stickers that were made of that picture on the left that went through the conference.
I might have one.
Oh crap!
Yeah, I definitely went on a search for who has the best Francois memes out there. So there's kind of the beginning, right? So curveball number one here, Francois, is you've been at every Tableau conference that I've ever been to, and Iron Biz has been a staple. And so what we thought would be really good, since we had you on the phone, the product really better than anybody else. What we're going to do is we're going to give you 20 minutes. What we've done is Adam Slipsky has spun up an AWS EC2 instance. What we're going to do is do a live connect over to the GDELT data in Google Cloud, right? So a little bit of cloud to cloud here. As you're probably aware, the GDELT data set is about 30 billion rows. And so if you don't mind,
and no problem, we got
bringing
Hyper.
a story. Yep, exactly. So we're good. Yeah, and if you don't mind just bringing a story and a narrative through your visualization to tell the meta narrative of human history for the last 30 years using the GDELT data, over the course of the next 20 minutes. We'll just kind of stand by and watch a master at work, if you don't mind. And so,
that'd be great.
you know,
it's a good thing. I've got the book to help me get going. So step one, how to connect to data. Okay, I'm ready.
Perfect. And I don't tend to do this justice, so I thought it would be good if we could invite some co-hosts on to welcome you to the IronViz stage. So,
welcome to the Ultimate Data Showdown. It's IronViz. Here are your celebrity hosts, Andy Cockgreave and Jewel Lorray.
Hello and welcome to Viz Stadium. 3 contestants today earned their places by winning one of 3 Tableau public feeder competitions.
Whose Viz will reign supreme?
all right. So now that you're probably ready, Francois.
I'm ready. Who's my sous-viser? Are you my sous-viser?
That would be fun. But Obama said that we're just kidding. So we'll do that next time you come to ATUG, if that works. We actually just, in our last one, we actually just hosted like IronViz ATL. And we had the twins as our judges, and we had some phenomenal business, man. It was so good. We'll tell you all about that another time, but it's so good. So much fun. All right. We do have some other games for you to play, though. And so I thought this one would be fun. And so what I'm going to do here is, Francois, I've gone out and selectively found pictures from most of the conferences as far back as I could find them easily. So some of them are mine, some of them are other people's, but what I'm going to do is show you pictures, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to guess what year that conference was. Okay.
All right.
So here we go. So this one is the one that you spoke at.
Yeah, that was the last one we did in person.
That's right. This is. Do you want to give us the year and the location?
This was TC19.
Winners.
Yeah, TC19 in Vegas.
That's right, baby. TC19 in Vegas, baby. Yes, sir. All right. So again, I had to bring this picture back because, I mean, if the more times I can show this picture, the higher the ratings go. But this would be also the first time that Run the Conference that Kriebel and everybody did. If you look at the floor and kind of the lobby of where that is, it was the first time that we were at this place. So again, if you can, name that conference, name that year.
Was that 16 or 17? You get that right?
17.
17.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
16 was somewhere else. I don't think 16.
That's the Vegas Arena, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then that's the Mandalay Bay right there.
By the way, I did not go running at that time. This one's an easy one.
So
this is DC.
This was my first conference. This was DC. So this was my first conference. I picked this. The logo was special to me because this is like the old school logo. You guys kind of this one sunsetted, right? But I also thought this was really cool because you got Sleeper, and then you have Kelly Martin. I definitely want to give her a shout out. I actually don't remember who the other contestant of IronViz was that year, but I did find this. So this was like the announcement of Tableau 8.1, and again, these are not my words, but 64-bit finally, right? And look at like young Francois, man. I love it.
Look at how much hair I had back then.
I know. Look at that, buddy. Yeah, I like it. All right. This was another one that was really special to me, and I'm sure this was not the first one in Seattle, but if you remember this one as well, obviously who we have on the left here is Hans Rosling.
Yeah.
Father of modern day storytelling.
The thing I remember the most about this one was actually the party. We booked out all of Seattle Center, and we had, I think 8 stages with musicians. You had Sir Mix-a-Lot that had a song called "I Like Big Data and I Cannot Lie."
Data.
That was so awesome.
I may or may not have a picture of that statement in my world. So yes, you've properly nailed 2014. This might have been my all-time favorite conference, if I'm being straight honest. I mean, it was just so incredible, and the fact that Hans was there. He was honestly one of the inspirations that got me into even the idea of digital analytics. Back when I was like a transportation engineer, I had no idea what any of this stuff was, but I watched that video. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. All right, this is another one, right? You might remember this. Tableau 7, some guy named Christian up there on stage, right? And if you don't remember this, I'll hit the rewind time machine. This guy right here thought it would be really impressive that a CEO could demo their own products, right? So Tableau 7, I think it's a little bit obvious at this point, but
2011.
I know you're pretty passionate. I thought that was pretty cool. And then this one, right? The cleanest room you've ever been in is probably the best way to say it, maybe, right? And our dear friend Karen Henson took all 4 of her kids to this conference, as many of us did, right? So everybody's favorite virtual conference of TC 2020. Fun so far?
Doing good.
Awesome, man. All right, we
good
got
to go
one more
through
game
memory lane. All right.
Well, I'm glad you think so, because this is only going to get more fun for you. So before we get to the questions, curveball number last is name that Tableau feature Jeopardy. And so what I've got for you, Francois, I'll make sure I get the right board up here. Hold on one second. That was not the right board. The right board up. So here's what we got. So I'm going to hit F11 and just pray that works. Yep. Okay, cool. Actually, no, it doesn't work very well. So we'll just bring it back. All right. So we got 5 categories. You've got Jeopardy style, right? So you've got calculations, mapping, online server, data, and dashboards. Here's the thing. It's like name the feature release or name the year that this thing happened type of thing, right? So you get it right, you get the points. You get it wrong, subtract the points. My hope for you, Francois,
year or version number?
Chief, version number. There are a couple that say year, but for the most part, it's version number. And I've also got kind of like the season, if you will. My hope for you is that you can be on the positive, and if this doesn't go well, then we'll transition. But here we go. So where do you want to start, my friend? The board is yours.
I will take data for 100, Nelson.
There we go. All right. So this release allowed users to bring data together through relationship noodles.
That was 2020.2. Did I get that right?
And
or is it .1?
Survey says, my man, great start, buddy. Awesome. All right, let's go. So where do you want to go now? Again, the board is yours.
Mapping for 200. Let's go big.
Mapping for 200. In-the-box integration with Mapbox was first released in this version of Tableau.
Is it 2019.1?
All right.
Or was it
way older than that?
Oh, 9.2. Oh, well, no, actually, that was a trick question. That was a trick question because we replaced the maps in Tableau with Mapbox completely.
But the integration where you could click on it and say, hey, I got an API integration. Here's my, yeah. So, oh, it hurts so bad. All right, what you got? Go for it.
Let's do online server for 100. Now I've lost my confidence.
Sweet. This was the year that Tableau Online first launched.
What is Tableau? What was the year 2013, Nelson?
Ooh, I believe you nailed it. That's awesome, man. Good job. All right. Back
By the way, 2013 is the year that Tableau went public, and that was exactly 8 years ago this week.
Wow.
Like we were a public company 8 years ago.
Guys.
All right, now I'm getting, I want to go down that path. Online server for 200.
Let's go. This was the year that Tableau first encouraged do it in public, it being visualization, of course.
That was 2010. Tableau 5.2. Oh, wait, no. Launch of Tableau Public.
I think you're right.
Way earlier than that.
I think you're right. I think I have the wrong thing. I'm going to give you credit because I believe you're spot on. I think I wrote the wrong number because I agree with you on the 2010. So my bad. You keep going.
All right.
What you got?
Tableau Public for life. Let's do dashboards for 100.
Dashboards for 100. All right. This was the first release to allow for animations when a user interacted with a dashboard.
What is 2020.1? 2020.1.
Correct, sir, my man. Good job. All right. We're almost there. Maybe a couple more.
All right. Go 200.
Which one? Dashboards?
Dashboards 200. Yeah, sorry.
You're good. It was in this release that dashboards could be first be authored on the web.
I believe the year was 2013.
Okay.
And that was version 7? No, version 8. Version 8. What is Tableau version 8? Oh, dashboards.
Took longer than you thought. Dashboards.
Sorry.
Yeah, not like straight web authoring.
Yeah.
There was a while where it's like all you can do is a viz, right?
Yeah.
So gotta doc. You're still ahead of the game though. All right.
Data for 200.
Two more.
Let's do this.
All right, data for 200. This release allowed users to ask data for the first time.
What is Tableau 2019.2? That one.
Close.
Oh.
Okay. So close. I feel bad deducting you on that one. All right, Francois.
All right, mapping for 100. Let's go.
Mapping for 100. Winner, chicken dinner. Here we go. This was the first release of Tableau Prep that allowed for the joining of spatial objects.
Was that 2020.4?
Survey says. Oops. Go ahead, right button.
Oh.
2020.4. Tableau. Francois, you have landed exactly
right.
Zero, so
even Steven.
All right.
I
love it, man.
Can I keep going?
So, if you want to do one more, let's make you a winner.
I think Christopher Scott said, "Quit while you're on top." I think we're good.
Okay, call it a day. I love it, man. All right, so good stuff. So, Francois, you have, to an extent, survived the gauntlet. I am super proud of you. What we're going to do now is kind of shift into some question answer with you. And again, I had so many pictures, I couldn't just stop, right? I think it's so cool to have the opportunity to, one, engage with you, two, to open it up to the community and just kind of hear about, kind of what goes on. And I think we all in our minds have a sense of the background of what this looks like, right? But even before we get to all the product stuff, because I know you're itching, right? But maybe you just begin by telling us one thing about yourself that the community doesn't already know, and maybe it's that you like to read books with elves, and maybe just take it from there.
Well, I think everybody knows I love French bulldogs. I love all dogs, and he's sleeping beside me. But I thought maybe I'd share my coping mechanism through COVID. A lot of us had different things that we've gone through. So for me, to try to have some normalcy, what I've been doing is every morning I put on my shoes and I walk downstairs to my office, and like putting on my shoes is my, I go to the office kind of thing. And so it's become kind of my daily thing. But as a result of that, I've kind of become a sneakerhead. I keep buying new shoes. I probably bought like 20 to 25 pairs of shoes this past year. In fact, I just bought a new pair this morning. And so every day I just put on a different pair of shoes and I go to the office. So I kind of turned into a sneakerhead. I've got my Air Jordans 1 right now. And that's kind of how I survive. So that's been my coping mechanism. And so if anybody wants to talk about crazy sneakers, I'm all in.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. You mentioned a minute ago, kind of the journey and the history that, Tableau as an organization's been on going public. And, you got there about 10 years ago. Prior to that, you spent 10 years at Microsoft. I think it would be really interesting to kind of go back in that time machine and kind of understand from your perspective as you're making that leap from Microsoft to this, kind of jumpstart Tableau. What were you thinking about? And as you imagine what the organization might go do and the mission, the vision that Christian and team had, is it what you thought it was going to be, and how is it different maybe?
It's a good question. I was at Microsoft for 10 years. I was at Cognos before that. I've been in the data space, and at Microsoft, I was on the Excel team and the SQL Server team. And so I've been in data for a while, but what I realized, in my last few years at Microsoft was that so much of my job was about internal stuff, build PowerPoints for meetings, internal politics. And I became an expert of just being a operator inside the company. And I kind of lost touch with product. And so I started looking outside and trying to figure out, well, what can I do? Where can I have impact? And I knew about this Tableau thing. I thought it was a crappy charting tool. Like we can do that in Excel. So why would I buy and spend money on Tableau? Like that was my impression. And so I downloaded the tool and I had my list of requirements of like what I needed. And I started going through it. Okay, it does that. It does that. And little do you know, after 2 hours, I completely forgot my list and I was having fun again. And I was dreaming and I was thinking about ideas and things that we could do and, you know, what like this product, how this product could be better. And I was just having fun. And that's when I just reached out to Christian Chabot and said, how can I help? And so when I started Tableau in 2010, my only idea was how do we have impact and what can we do to really help people? I wouldn't have imagined how much we've grown. We had big aspirations. We had big dreams of changing the world, but it's just been an incredible journey. And you know, through this journey of, it's my 11th year now, but through this journey, it's actually been almost like different sets of challenges and opportunities from we're a startup, nobody knows us, right? To becoming a public company. And now we're on the world stage and we're in hyper growth mode and it creates new challenges to, oh my God, there's massive competition with Microsoft and the others trying to take us down. And we change your leadership team and how do you build and how do you rebuild and how do you expand your product portfolio? And then we got acquired by Salesforce and, you know, I've acquired other companies. I've never been acquired myself. And how do you go through that and continue to scale? But through it all, there's always been this consistency of thinking about how do we help people see and understand data, the mission, and that's ingrained in all of us. And now we get to dream even bigger about all of the ways that we can help people, all data. And that's fun. I'm a product person at heart and we get to build and building and innovating. That's been consistent. That's just fun.
I love that you mentioned the vision, mission and vision of the organization. I think for me, I draw back to that so many times when I'm trying to explain the product to someone. You know, Tableau helps people see and understand data, and the fact that you put people in front of the data, you know, it humanizes the product, and it's you know, we're helping people, right? And that the human has always been at the core component of Tableau. One of the reasons it's so successful is because it has such a great user and human experience, and I think that's a big part of why the community is so successful. So as we dig into that and we think about, like, you know, what's the one thing that can make Tableau kind of be the next end all be all? We had Will Perkins out of Dallas. He had this question for us, so let's hear it from Will.
Hey, Francois. Will Perkins from Dallas, Texas. Big time fan, first time caller. My question is actually something that I ask in all my Tableau developer interviews, and it is this. If you could call up Francois and have him stop the presses, stop all development for any updates, and just add this one thing or update this one thing into Tableau, and that will make it the perfect tool, what would that one thing be? Taking notes.
So what is that one thing?
So the question goes to you. Yeah, well, so we could either turn it on you and say, Francois, what is that one thing for you? Or, you know, I know you would love to hear from the community, and I'm sure the chat's going to fill right up. But I'm curious if there's like one burning thing in your mind where it's just like, man, you know, if we could do like maybe this one thing, or maybe it's like way out there, but I'm curious if there is anything that comes top of mind, because I got a list.
Oh, I got a long list. Well, I'll actually, I can never give you the answer directly. I have to give you a little bit of context. So first off, I love the question, but there's a problem with the question. And well, it's not how you ask the question. It is the thing that's the most helpful for us when we get those requests is not just understanding the feature, but it's understanding the why, the use case, the problem that you're trying to solve. Because oftentimes people say, I need this thing, but what we're missing is a true understanding of the actual problem that you're having and why solving that problem would benefit, right? Time savings, opportunities, all of those things. That's the thing that we are desperately needing, and that helps us on the trade-offs. So for me, it's actually the same thing that I told Chabot when I started, and in the interview, I gave him a bunch of stuff. It's the first start experience. I still think that we haven't done that right. When you start with Tableau, you get a blank screen. That's intimidating. That is really intimidating. And I think that we can simplify that first 5-minute experience for Tableau to give you some insights about the data and help you get going to discover it. I saw this great, I think it was a tweet or blog by Ava Murray about how she's discovered through the Snowflake data marketplace, how she's discovered through the data. And she says she spends time looking through every dimension, understanding what's there. Can I help that automatically and help her discover the insights better? So to me, like that first start experience is something we still haven't done and I still want to do.
I love that, man. Yeah. And I think for me, I think about like some of the graphic design pieces and stuff like, hey, if I want to have like a slick looking dashboard, I kind of have to be in another tool right now. And I got to bring some components in. I'd love to have more freedom inside the tool. We often talk to people who want to do their quote, quote, PowerPoint presentation, but do it in the tool. But the ability to do that, given the things that we have right now, is just, it's very hard to do that, right? So getting to a place where it is more of a presentation layer, all full stop, right? As I think about like the thing that is, I've got a compelling why around it. I know exactly how it would benefit me. That's like one of those things that is really intriguing to me. It's like, how far could we take that? How far could we push that envelope? And it's interesting. You and I both said things that are very human focused, right? We didn't say, well, if Tableau's ever gonna be a data warehouse, or, if we could get but those things are important too, right? So
absolutely.
It's all very
great question, Will.
And yeah.
Hey.
All right. Going forward here. So Francois, as we all think about what it would be like to be you, right? To be the CPO of Tableau. And, we have this probably, fantastical imagination, like, oh, we get to draw stuff on whiteboards all day, right? And then like the actual, okay, this is what it actually looks like to be a CPO of a technology organization. What do you feel like the delta, like what are some of the misconceptions we have, or what surprises you about the role? It's like, oh, that's my responsibility too. Great. Like, what are some of those things that's like, if you peel back the curtain, we would be maybe surprised to understand that, hey, this is maybe different than we thought about.
Well, if you're Matt Francis, you'd think that my job is to travel the globe and eat at fancy restaurants, and it's very glamorous.
That's not what you do?
Well, not during the pandemic. The reality is that the job is really about ruthless prioritization. And I say that in a really good way, because it's all about trade-offs. Every day you're making trade-offs because you have limited resources and you want to do some really impactful things. So how do you choose the right things to work on, knowing that there's a lot of things you could go build? So, I used to kind of joke around that I said no 7 out of 8 times. And it's not that I'm the no person, but rather that you're trying to find the right things to say yes to and why around that. So that's probably like the hardest thing at all. But the thing that's unexpected is a lot of the work is actually people work. You have to bring people along the journey. It's change management. It's explaining the why and repeating the why and bringing people on that journey. And so you have to constantly evangelize not just what we should do, but why we should do that, and bring everybody along the journey. I've got a team of like 1,000+ developers. They don't want to just write code. They want to understand the impact they're going to have, why they're working on it, and not something else. So that's probably the unexpected part of the job, is that people, right, alignment that's needed.
I love that you said that, because you're talking about purpose, and when somebody understands the purpose behind it and the why behind it, they'll work late and they'll own it, and they'll do it with passion. And Tableau is full of passionate people. I mean, you guys exude passion for the community, you exude passion for the product, and I think that's again one of the differentiators. It's like, how do you quantify passion? You can't, right? But you can quantify the things that are the byproducts of passion. And so I love that you brought up that kind of why and the purpose behind things, and the communication of that. It's so important. And that's, I think, maybe a good transition. The organization I lead is Analytic Vision, and our vision of the organization is to equip and inspire the next generation of data and technology leaders. And so, as someone who is an amazing leader in this space of data and technology, what advice would you give to those who want to grow into leaders in this space? And then, if you kind of, again, fast forward 20 years ago, as you were beginning that journey at Microsoft, is there anything you would go back and tell yourself, hey, it's not about this, it's about this, or just any advice that you would have for folks on that journey, that want to be on that journey?
I mean, everybody's journey will be slightly different of what's needed. But again, I think at the end of the day, to be a leader, it's really thinking about the people side of the equation more so than anything else, because you're really helping shape, right, the organization and help shape how people come on the journey with you. You know, sometimes we confuse leadership with management. It's different, right? Leadership is really, you know, bringing people on a journey and moving that forward. I used to think in the old days, like, just get shit done and, you know, good things will come out of it. And I still believe that, right? Tactics sometimes are really important. Execution matters above all else. But again, the purpose of the why and really communicating and getting people on board on the journey, I think is really, really important. And that doesn't mean everybody will agree. Like, disagree and commit is a really important thing. But change doesn't happen because you have a new tool. Change doesn't happen because you built the best viz. Change happens when you bring the organization along and you think about change management, you think about the people and the process that you need on the journey. And I think that in my early days, I didn't do a lot of building alliances or bringing people along. I just went off and did the right thing and thinking that people will then say, oh, see, he was right. And I think I would have been more successful if I would have done that ahead of time through the journey.
I love that. That's so good. There's a lot we could dig into there, but you have continually touched on, you know, just people and people being at the heart of the product. And one of the greatest experiences that I've had in this community, in this space, and honestly in my career, was I've had the opportunity to work with the Tableau Foundation twice. And as I think about some of the amazing things that Tableau Foundation, Neil Myrick has gone out and done, and just the vision that was created, hey, we should have this in the first place. Again, it's another, you know, value fit with Salesforce, that, you know, hey, you've got all this capital and goodwill that's headed towards people that need it. When you think about the way that the product comes to life for the Tableau Foundation, can you think of any times when a feature has been added or you've gone in a particular direction based off of needs that you've seen from the foundation or from nonprofits specifically that has been aligned to help them?
Well, I'm glad that you brought the foundation into the picture, because I do think that this is where we can do well as a company while doing good around the world. It's one of those shared values with Salesforce, where Salesforce thinks a lot about giving back to the community. It's part of the DNA of the company. I think back to Jonathan Drummey and the work that he's been doing with Path and all of that as a good example. And he's out there building solutions to help, you know, eradicate malaria, right, in Africa. It's a really hard problem. Oftentimes we think about the data viz, the analysts, all of that, but you have to think of who your consumers are. You know, what tools are available at the disposal? What are the skills available? And, you know, how do we make the journey easier? There's some hard problems that are in there. And I know that in a lot of data modeling areas, like the work that Jonathan Drummey has done with the foundation has really inspired, you know, some of the stuff around the noodle, right? The relationship stuff, specifically for the kinds of challenges that were done for that project. And I'm sure there's a ton more, but that's one that just comes to mind as like, the team really rallied around those projects and the impact that they could have because they wanted to have impact too.
But and Francois, I remember being on that project with him, and there was a big initiative that was up on Tableau Public around, hey, we need you to go into you know, the kind of OpenGIS. I'm getting the name wrong, but it's like the open mapping platform, and basically kind of, we need you to draw buildings that you see using the aerial so that we can take our analysis and do, you know, really intense geospatial analysis and understand kind of rainfall and these different things. And it's so cool to see the community come alive, and, you know, people volunteer their time to like draw buildings and stuff like that. And then, you know, lo and behold, probably about a year later, you see that very tight integration with Mapbox being the base layer, because they had that OpenStreetMap integration and so forth. And so I've loved seeing some of those things. And you know, Jonathan's such an amazing gift to this community,
So
and I
amazing.
love that you called him out specifically. So yeah, awesome. We have a question from Cindy. She's going to ask about kind of the relationship between Salesforce, Einstein, and Tableau. So let's check it out.
All right.
I'm Cindy Oberg Hauser. I am the Data Systems Manager at Twin Cities Rise. We are a nonprofit that relies heavily on program outcomes. We implemented Salesforce a year ago and want to use Tableau for data analysis. Can you tell me what the marriage of Salesforce, Einstein, and Tableau will look like, and what is the timeline for rollout? Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Cindy. Of course, you have to ask about timelines too. That's always the question we get. I think it's a really good question, and I'll preface it first is, yes, we're part of Salesforce. That doesn't mean we're only Salesforce. So for anybody that gets worried, like, oh my God, Tableau is only focused on Salesforce, absolutely not. We're continuing to expand everywhere, and that's something that the company really wants us to do, is to unlock and add value to any use case, whether it's Salesforce or non-Salesforce. So just wanted to put that in
The
there.
Switzerland of data, right, Francois?
Absolutely. But it's super, super important, because the data problem is not just a Salesforce data problem. It's a data problem. It's all data. It's all people, whether they're Salesforce users or not. Like, it is for everyone. And so that is just, I just want to put that out there. Now, for customers that are Salesforce customers, I think there's special things we can do. We've got so much innovation within the Salesforce umbrella that we can bring to our customers. And so there's a lot of things that we're doing around making it easier to access data across Salesforce. So you can really, truly get that single source of truth around your customer data, because that's all locked in Salesforce. We're doing things like bringing Einstein into Tableau and leveraging the AI capabilities in Salesforce and bring that in. We brought together the Tableau CRM team, what was called Einstein Analytics, with Tableau, so that now we can build great experiences outside of Salesforce and incredible experiences inside of the workflow in Salesforce. And so the teams are collaborating. We're doing data interchange. We're going to enable you to publish from Tableau to Salesforce and really land that in a delightful experience. We're doing some work with MuleSoft to unlock all this data. We're doing a lot of really good stuff. It's going to happen over time because we're balancing our investment. You could say, oh, actually, stop everything, do only Salesforce. We're not going to do that, right? We're always balancing. One thing that I think is actually particularly relevant for you, Cindy, and for any nonprofits, is that Salesforce does have these nonprofit clouds to help you manage, program management or fundraising for your nonprofits. And that's a good example where we can bring more value more quickly. So there's a known data model in that solution. Well, we have built some dashboard starters and integration with the nonprofit cloud, so that one button, boom, that data is available in Tableau to be analyzed, explored, secured, visualized in new ways. So we can help not only you, but all customers that are nonprofit customers really bring that to life. And you can do the same thing around sales and service and marketing and commerce and all of these things. So I'm truly excited about what we can do. But it's going to be a journey, and we're going to do it in a thoughtful way that brings the best of Tableau and the best of Salesforce together.
Francois, you talked about the journey in Salesforce, and if I'm not mistaken, in a couple of weeks, you guys are going to celebrate 2 years together of being acquired. I think that happened in June of 2019.
Well, June was the announcement. We didn't close until August 1st. And we didn't integrate until late November because of regulatory things. But nonetheless, 2 years to the announcement.
Right. Details.
Yeah.
All right. So, you got acquired, right? Like Salesforce, like you spoke, at Dreamforce. Like, tell me about, like, just real quick, like, and I'll hold you to like a little bit of a time box, but how's it been different? Like, is there a different culture that you've enjoyed? How has it enhanced what you guys have done? Like, I just love to hear you're right there in the middle of the whole thing. So, like, give us a sense of how that's gone.
I will say I have been pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of acquisitions that go the wrong way, and that was my fear. I've been really pleasantly surprised. I mean, Salesforce is a really great company. They lead with their value and with their culture. And there's a reason Salesforce is always named one of the top places to work in the world. It's a great company, right? They have strong values. They have a strong culture. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of technologies that are out there. It's great. One thing that I've been surprised at Salesforce is they use this term, the beginner's mind. It's a beginner's mindset. Okay. They didn't come in and say, this is what you should do. And, we know how to do this better than you. They come in with this idea of, we always want to learn. We have a beginner's mindset and we want to keep adapting and learning. And through the journey, they've kept that going and, keep trying to understand what they could do better, how we can do things in a different way. And so we have stayed fairly independent while at the same time, right, integrating through Salesforce. But, an acquisition is change management. It's hard. Like you go through stuff that is really kind of painful. We change systems. Oh my God, I got to learn something new. I changed laptops. I got to learn something new. There's a new performance evaluation system or a new way to submit expense reports, whatever those things are that you go through to do your job, it's different. And so that, is challenging for a lot of people. So even though I'm bullish on the opportunity, on the company, on the culture, there is some pains that you have to go through, and you just have to really, again, lead the organization through that change that's so needed.
I love it, man. And it's really interesting. You mentioned like big decisions, big changes, all those types of things. Tableau just went through a big change, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this. Tableau just got a new CEO.
What?
And on behalf of everybody in
this community, that you?
We were, well, I mean, it's not, man, I would take that job. I don't think anybody would give it to me, but I would be on it. But on behalf of this community, we were like, dude, Francois, man, like, did you not want to be CEO of Tableau? I mean, like, that seems like the dream.
I will say that Mark Nelson is dramatically more qualified and competent than I am, and I have full trust in what he does. I mean, I'm kind of joking. I may be the face of Tableau. Mark is a phenomenal leader. He's an engineer at heart.
I love it.
Right? What Salesforce has basically done is they've promoted product and innovation as the top value of Tableau. It could have gone differently. They could have put, I want to say, a sales leader, which is, and I'm not saying anything bad about sales, but they could have put a sales leader up there and said, we optimize for revenue. What they really want out of Tableau is innovation and product leadership. And Mark has an incredible history. He is deep on product, deep on engineering, and I think he's going to be really, really great at that. And that allows me to focus on product strategy and engagement with customers and do the things I love to do every single day. And so I'm really happy for Mark. I think it's a great thing for Tableau. I think it's a strong signal for all of us in the community, and especially as somebody who cares about products so deeply, that the top is a product leader.
I love it. I love it. And as you're talking about you doing what you do best, right? Engaging with the community, thinking about how to develop the roadmap and so forth. We got another great question coming out of the Boston TUG this time. So here we go.
Hey, Francois, this is John Whitmer coming at you from Boston, Massachusetts. So on behalf of our co-leads, Will Strauss, Brian Moore, and Jackie Moore, and the rest of the world-famous Boston TUG, here's our question. We wanted to know a little bit more about your feature development funnel. So what I mean is, where do you source your project ideas from?
Oh, sorry, hold on. I hit a button. That was bad.
What criteria do you use to evaluate those projects? And how do you schedule their release? So basically, how does an idea become a feature? Thanks in advance.
What say you?
It's a very good question. It's a hard question, but I'll say, let's just kind of break it down a little bit. So first is we get ideas from a lot of different places, right? We get ideas from this community. We get ideas in the ideas forum. We get ideas from support in terms of the things that our customers struggle with. We get ideas from the market signals and where the market is going. And, we see a lot of growth in this kind of data or this kind of cloud. We get ideas from our own people with some of the prototyping and research that we do. We get ideas that all of you don't necessarily see, which are kind of like below the scenes of things that we can do in the platform to make the product better. So we get all of those things coming through. There's a lot that comes through. And what we need to do is weigh a couple things. Obviously, not every idea or feature costs the same. Some things are really easy to build. Some things are really expensive, and both in terms of time and resources required to do that. Some things are risky, some things are not risky. And some things will drive that business value that we want to drive. So we always think of what will drive customer success, number one, what will drive business growth, number two, what will improve quality. You know, we bring all of those things together and then we make those trade-offs. Right now, we're in the beginning of the planning season, and we're really trying to think of what should be those investment themes and why. You know, what are the kinds of problems that people are struggling with? How do we prioritize those problems? Is it more important to fix a data prep challenge that all of you are having, or is it more important to, you know, simplify how we build dashboards? Ooh, like how do you weigh that, right? And that's really where we go through. And so again, I go back to provide information about the use cases and the problems to solve. You know, we will then evaluate a lot of those. And then we just look at our resources and say, I'm going to make this bet this year and try to go there. So not an easy thing, but the most important thing is we need to hear from you. You have a voice. You need to share it. You need to put it out there. And the more you can put that why out there, the more important it is.
And it's just Francois at tableau.com, right? You know, we'll just send everybody out the email right there and just make things very simple. So, you know, all your great ideas, feel free to send those at 3 in the morning to Francois so his phone dings.
It's not Francois at Tableau, it's F Ajenstat at Tableau. You are more than welcome. Anybody in this community can send something and I'll connect you to the right folks.
I love it. And you talked about, you know, figuring out what are we going to bet on and what does the roadmap look like. And you know, Francois, one of the things I want to touch on is what I consider to be Tableau's greatest idea and Tableau's greatest bet. And it's this concept of Tableau Public, right? You know, you guys went out and you said, hey, we're going to build a full feature platform. You know, we're not going to let you connect to all the data, you know, because that would be nuts, right? But we're going to let you do anything you want to. And then I think one of the reasons the community is so vibrant is because it's got this amazing platform for people to share and for ideas. You know, it's great for the bloggers. It's great for folks who are in media and so forth. And so with that said, Josh Preston, who is one of our good friends here in Atlanta, has got this question. Josh, where's Georgia Tech?
Hey, Francois, this is Josh Preston in an undisclosed basement location in Atlanta. I'm a huge Tableau Public fan, my #1 software. I got a desktop so I can use Tableau online, but I've got to be honest, I give up every time I try. I get lost with the keys, the portal access. You know, my boss bought the license, and it's just, I have a bad habit of going back to Tableau Public. Please help. If you got any tips, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
So my man took the gateway drug. He's in. He loves the tool, but now he's trying to scale it and make it enterprise. How can we help these guys?
Well, so there's 3 things that he shared. So first is the fundamental problem is key management, right? When you buy something from Tableau, you get a key, and that is something that just has to go away. I'll just put that flat out there. One thing that we've done specifically with Tableau Online, and I'm surprised that Josh, you didn't get that, but now we've gotten rid of keys with Tableau Online. Like when you buy desktop or a creator license, to get your key, you just log into online and you're done. That's it. So there's no more key management. I just say you're a creator, you're an explorer, and that's all there is to do. So our goal is to get rid of those keys, make it way easier to manage. So that's what we're trying to do there. The second piece of it is while you're still using desktop, and that's great, I think you guys know that we're trying to put everything in the browser as well. And in fact, last week we introduced the beta of web authoring for public. So now in public, you can directly go in the browser and start building viz. We're not done, just to be clear. There's still more work to be done. There's still features that need to be added, specifically formatting, but we've added set actions and so much to, there's a long list of things we've added in the last 6 months alone to web authoring. And that's available in public, also on online and server. But there's one thing that you started with, and Nelson, you actually kind of kicked it off that way, is I actually think public is this, it's not only an incredible offering, there's an incredible community, but it could be so much more. I think that, we can add things like, well, for Tableau Prep, maybe we can share flows through public as well. So we can share each other. Maybe there's flow fragments, or what we used to call flowlets, where somebody's already figured out how to do that transformation. Boom, get it from public, bring it in and help each other. Maybe if I'm using
published data sources.
Published data sources,
yeah.
data sets that are out there. Maybe,
oh, man. That's a craving.
I'm in Tableau and I'd love to do HR analytics. How do in Tableau, how do I bring public and the community inside of it so I can go and say, oh, wow, it's the Lovalytics guys in DC that have done some amazing work. Maybe there's some dashboards I can bring in, and like really thinking not as public as this separate destination, but an integral part of all of our success and connecting the community together and connecting public more deeply in the product. I get so passionate about how we can really supercharge these two things together, because if you're successful, the community is successful, the product gets successful, like it's just this vicious cycle, right? It's this flywheel that starts happening. And I think that's an untapped opportunity. Thankfully, there's some people on the team that are looking at that right now, but I'm not gonna pre-announce anything at this point.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Francois, I want to be respectful for your time. I think we have just about 2 minutes left, unless you have
let's go.
Couple minutes you can go over. Okay.
Rapid fire.
Well, all right. So real quick, I think what we would like to maybe end on, if we're going to end it right here, is just this, right? You just touched on it a minute ago. When we talk about the product and the features of Tableau, frankly, the greatest feature of Tableau is the community. And so as you have 15 different Tableau user groups that are present here, and probably many more, honestly, almost 400 folks on the phone here. Any final thoughts that you'd want to share about, again, you talked about passion, you talked about people, what's kind of on your heart that you would just love to be able to communicate out to this community?
I mean, the first is I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you to all of you for what you do for each other. Right? If you're a TUG leader, it's amazing how you're bringing your community together. If you're in the forums and you're helping somebody else, like, thank you for that. If you're sharing vizzes on public and you're sharing with others, thank you for your impact on that. I think, part of the community that's so amazing is the way that it's there to support each other, to make each and every one of us more successful, stronger. And that impact is felt through each and every one of us, but it's also felt in our communities when there's crises in the world, as we've had so many crises, whether it's a health crisis or a social crisis or political crisis or an economic crisis. I mean, this community really comes together to give back. And I think that's something that is just, it warms my heart, but I think it's something that's so unique to each and every one of you. So I just want to thank you for that. I will say that we are behind you 100%, that there is so much that we can do together. And I think we're just getting started, and I think it's fun. And I cannot wait till this community gets 10x bigger. And it might sound kind of weird, but Nelson, let's go back 10 years ago, right? ATUG being the original TUG. How many people were in it? 10, 20?
It was a small number. We have a picture, but I don't have it. It was small.
Somebody said 32, right? And it's now, hundreds and hundreds. I think it's like 500 plus people. Like, this is all of us. That community wasn't built by Tableau, right? The company was built by you. And I think that is just such a great thing. So again, thank you. That's what I really want to end on.
And Francois, you've said thank you, and we feel your gratitude. We want to extend that gratitude back to you. This has been such a pleasure to have you on and to have the last hour with you, and I know how valuable your time is. And so on behalf of everybody here at ATUG and all the other TUGs that are represented here, we appreciate you for investing in our community and for building a product that we're passionate about, and just continue to push wind in your sails and keep you guys going forward. And you're welcome to come back anytime you want to.
I love it. Love you, dude. And
thanks, buddy. Love you too,
whenever we have another event, whether it's in person or virtual again, I'm already starting to think of what the TC keynote will look like. And I did a little preview internally with some ideas, and people were just like, their jaws were dropped, like, oh my God, this is insane. So stay tuned. There's some good surprises coming.
2021?
I didn't say whether it's in person or virtual. We'll see, how the world feels in a couple months, but whether we're virtual or in person, we're going to have some amazing innovations to announce pretty soon. So with that, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And Kriebel gives you the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Love it. Francois, thank you. We will talk soon.